Hey, it's Dave Reynolberger here from the Schottenstein Center and Nationwide Arena. Time for our weekly check-in with the one and only Gary, the Arena Guy. Arena Guy, how's it going?
It's going great. How are you doing, Dave?
Good. How are you surviving all this rain? Are you staying dry? The house doing all right?
Staying dry, except the other day I was walking the arena dog and we saw the black clouds coming in and thought, well, hopefully we'll finish this walk before it happens. And we walked right in the door, literally 5 seconds before a torrential downpour. The timing could not have been better.
Oh, well done.
Pretty much
Well done.
staying
I know
dry.
a lot of people are dealing with some flooded basements. Aziza, who we work with in our marketing department,
Yes.
she posted some pictures on Insta of her ceiling has this gigantic leak in her living room, and
Oh no.
and other people like ponds in their backyard and stuff. So all kinds of good stuff.
Yeah, I've experienced that in the past. My house in Illinois never had a drop of water in it, but then we had 100-year rains 2 years in a row. So it must have been year 100 and year one. And I lost so many albums and other things that I'm kind of crazy about.
Yeah.
And so I feel for anybody that's dealing with water. I've got a pond across the street and it is max. It is full. So yeah, I know this is serious for a lot of people.
For sure, for sure. Hey, speaking of some serious news that came out this week, boy, yesterday was a bummer with Rascal Flatts canceling their tour.
Yeah. Canceling, I hope at some point turns into rescheduling. I'm sure it will, but it's canceled. And what can you do? It's the way of the world right now. And it's just frustrating.
Yeah, Columbus was a hot ticket for sure, as it always is. You know,
Yeah.
and I think we were all hoping to be back in for that one. But when they do, you know, it was kind of their farewell tour. So you have to imagine they're not going to not do that, right? I mean, ticket sales were hot here, so it was going to be a big show.
Yes, for sure. And you know, the farewell tour, if they don't reschedule, then they've already done it. So they're going to have to do it at some point. And I am confident that Columbus will be a part of it.
Yeah, for sure, absolutely. And when they come, it's always a lot of fun because they got a lot of family that shows up. You know how, like, you know, when you go back to your hometown or something and your aunts and uncles or whatever it is, a family reunion, and you're having that big picnic and your third cousin's brother comes and always makes that one joke about something you did in third grade. That has to be Columbus, Ohio for Rascal Flatts every show, because the line backstage at Nationwide last time, it was just insane, the number of family. And then this is just family that was coming back to meet them and stuff. So we love having those guys here in town, whether it was at BCS or, you know, at one of the arenas.
Right. Then they have quite a history here at Nationwide Arena for sure, and BCS. And, you know, I've experienced some of that coming here from Champaign, Illinois. The same thing was true for REO Speedwagon.
Okay. Hometown band.
You know, they would sell reasonably well around the country, but then when they came to Champaign, it was like twice as many. And the meet and greet line or the backstage line, like you're talking about for Rascal Flatts, was so true for them as well. So, yeah.
Well, hopefully we will see those guys here again soon. All right, the big news for the week, the American Idol finale. And I got to tell you, Ryan Seacrest looking a little, what was that? Like, you got like, kind of like, people were saying he had a stroke or something on air, and then I think he said it was just exhaustion, which I can relate to.
Yeah.
We have the same kind of schedule.
Yeah. You two have 6 jobs from morning to night. No, I saw that as I watched it live and thought, oh, that's not quite the way that the very smooth talking Ryan Seacrest always is. So, but then once he recovered, I thought, well, maybe it's a slur like I just did. You know, you kind of messed up a word or two and then you just move on. But then it did make the news. And oddly enough, he did not work on Live with Kelly and Ryan the next day. And so he took the day off, and they're blaming exhaustion and that he did not have any other issues. So that was good news. But boy, he worked
he's so much like Dick Clark, right? Where Dick Clark was always so smooth.
Yeah.
When you're that good at your job and you get just a little bit off, people get worried. So
yeah.
So, how was the show? How was the finale?
Well, I was so disappointed.
Really? Yeah, I know you were worried they were rushing it too much.
Yeah, they're rushing it so much, and maybe it was because with the COVID-19 going on, that everybody was performing from home and they could not do the grand finale on a stage with a big audience like they'd done in the past. But they cut it down to 7. The very beginning, they knocked 2 out, and so of the 5 remaining, they all performed, and then they cut it down to 2, and then they announced the winner. Ended up, can I say? It's already happened. I don't want to be a
spoiler alert. Click ahead 10 seconds.
Spoiler alert. Yeah, if you DVR'd it and haven't watched it, Just Sam. There were 4 guys, and Just Sam, she goes by. And I'm not upset with her winning. She was really great. I think 3 or 4 of the other people could have won as well. The talent level was really high. But they announced her as a winner. She was all excited. And then they went into a song, and Lionel Richie and a bunch of the other contestants for this season were involved in a version of We Are the World. And that was good, but it just seemed like, hey, you won, Just Sam, yay. Here's Lionel Richie. And it just was very anticlimactic. And
sure.
Remember when Kelly Clarkson beat Justin?
Like the world was watching.
Holy cow. And the confetti and the excitement and everything. And they've done that year after year. And the finale has artists singing duets with people. And they did have a couple of virtual duets. But it just, maybe it's because of what's going on right now, but I was very disappointed in the season, very disappointed in the finale. And not with the talent, just with the process and the production. And so hopefully next year when everything is back on track, hopefully it'll be different. But they do rush through it, I'll tell you that. And I miss the sitting on the edge of your seat, seeing which person is going to be eliminated rather than which 5 are going to be eliminated. Yeah. So
just not as emotionally invested in. They've been talking that a lot of these, the ratings have kind of taken a downhill turn for a lot of these home-produced shows, right?
Yes.
So I think it's a thing where the novelty of seeing inside Jimmy Fallon's house was great, but now we'd like to just go back and actually see him in the studio and have that kind of fun and
get back to normal.
Being back.
That whole thing has worn off, in my opinion. And now we're seeing a lot of programming, movies again on network TV and specials because the scripted TV shows are all caught up and they can't produce anymore. Yeah. So it's very, very strange time. I will tell you that American Idol was renewed for another season, so they will be back, and it was announced during the finale.
That's actually not always a guarantee these days, right?
Yeah, don't know about the judges coming back. They all seemed excited that the show is renewed, but I don't know whose contracts were up and that sort of thing. But
yeah, sure, they have a lot of fun with that stuff. And Katie having her baby too, right?
Yeah.
All right. So you mentioned movies. So let's turn to our topic of the week. We try to have a little fun music discussion when shows are happening at the arena. The arena guy and I will often go to dinner, and one of the things we do there over dinner is we will just have these absolutely meaningless discussions that are very to us, right? Where we talk about music
we share with everyone.
Right, but that's kind of what we're trying to bring you into when we're doing this. Is we want you to kind of have that seat at the table with us as we talk about music and fun stuff. And so this week we're talking about your favorite concert movie, and even that, just the definition of that, we had some challenges with.
Yeah, and you made some parameters, which was fine, and we definitely need those. I decided no documentaries.
Right, that's a whole different show.
That's a whole different show. And there are some documentaries that include a lot of concert footage, but there's a lot of behind the scenes. So I did not include any of those in the mix. So we're talking like full concerts, correct?
Yeah.
And so we spent almost as much time as this segment will be deciding what the parameters are. And so we decided they could be theatrical released concerts, or they could be on HBO or DVD, which still expands the possibilities to a very high number. So it'll be interesting to see what we come up with.
Yeah, for sure. And it's a lot of I have a few that are kind of blurry. Where it's like, well, does that count and which way does it go? So we'll see how we go. Let's go ahead and get started then. You were talking best concert movie of all time, and let me ask you about the shirt you're wearing there, arena guy.
Prince. I did this out of respect to you. I know you're a huge Prince fan. I like Prince a lot as well. I'm a diehard Elton fan. You're a diehard Prince fan, but I think we both like each other's favorites as well. And one of the great concert movies, I think, is Sign of the Times. And so I wanted to finally give Prince some love in my shirts, because I wear a different T-shirt each time. And so I wanted to do that and mention his Sign of the Times concert movie, which includes a lot of his great hits, and a lot of the songs from that album is just amazing. And he was so amazing live. And my one big concert regret, there's 2 or 3 artists that I wish, and maybe this is a topic for another time. What artists do you wish you had seen a concert that you didn't? And Prince was one of those for me.
It's a great concert movie. It's kind of an interesting one because it really focuses on that Sign of the Times album, as opposed to just being a greatest hits show. But when we talked a few weeks ago about best live concert album, I didn't include Prince because I don't feel like they've had a great live concert album. But that movie does the best job of capturing what it was like to see Prince live. And if you haven't seen it, it was out of print for a long time, but recently it's been making its way around on demand and on cable. And it's an absolutely great movie and definitely worth watching. So that was near the top of my list, as you can probably imagine. All right, I'll go ahead and do one of mine.
Okay.
And I feel like, when I do these, sometimes I feel like I'm hitting the obvious, right? The things that, I like to look for those hidden gems, but sometimes you just can't avoid the obvious. Yeah. And so I'm going to start off with Woodstock, right? Okay. Again, it's kind of a documentary too, right?
I know.
But it also, for people of a certain age, never got to see most of those artists live, right? And to wake up at the break of dawn with Jimi Hendrix and the Star Spangled Banner, it really takes you into that movement. And when it used to be when it first came out, it was on VHS, and it was it was cropped poorly, and then they finally did the official widescreen edition where you got to see the full movie and have it with great speakers and stuff. And it just takes you what the best concert movies, what all the movies do on my list, is it takes you into that concert, and you are there, and you can just kind of, it gives you just a very definite vibe. So I'll throw that one out just to get it off the table.
I think maybe I don't know if Laserdisc came out before VHS, but I think it probably came out on Laserdisc first.
Did you have a Laserdisc player?
No, I never did. I had
a couple Laserdiscs, right? For some reason, because I'm a collector, right? I have a couple Laserdiscs, but no player.
Same here. Don't ask me why. But yeah, I didn't include Woodstock. I mean, I certainly thought about it, and I love the movie for the music history, and I love music history, but it was kind of borderline documentary too, so I didn't really. Yeah. That's one of the blurry ones, but can't fault you for including that on the list. That's a great one.
Yeah. All right. What's next for you?
Okay, a couple of my blurry ones, and we can argue whether this works or not, are some of these concerts that, like Woodstock, that involves multiple artists, and they were originally shown on like HBO or the National Network or that sort of thing on TV. So I'm going to lump them together, and I'm going to say Live Aid, which I was just sitting in front of the TV like I'm sitting in front of my laptop now all day, and I've got it all recorded on VHS. A show that I worked, and maybe one of the best shows I've ever worked in my entire life, Farm Aid, which followed Live Aid, which was September 22nd, 1985. I remember it well. And it was amazing and star-studded from rock to country to every genre. It was really incredible. I remember it was the first day of fall, because the day before it was like 90, and that day it was rainy and chilly, and it just took a turn. I'm going to include the Freddie Mercury tribute concert from Wembley Stadium. 74,000 people, and some of the greatest artists in the world paying tribute to Freddie Mercury with Queen. So I'm going to lump all of those together as major TV, multiple artist events. And I don't know if that's blurry or if that works or not, but man, those are some of my favorite live experiences.
I feel like I'm not sure it's a concert movie, but I do agree with you that, like, first of all, I think that they should. I would love to see that Live Aid footage remastered and released in a theater of, like, a 2.5 hour version of the best, where you can go and just hear it in great sound. And if you've ever been to an IMAX theater when they've done a concert film, it's like you almost want to stand up and cheer when you're there. It's so great. But you're right in that Live Aid being that amazing. I've got that DVD set, and I remember, because at first they didn't start showing the broadcast immediately from London, that I had it on my radio, and I recorded the first couple hours on cassette. And but yeah, I mean that's just absolutely beautiful. And you mentioned the Freddie Mercury, right? I feel like that concert was a moment for Queen. It's where Queen's legend began, in the sense of, they were a great classic rock band, but at that moment, I think it was where the legend, where they started becoming that true. I don't know. I feel like the world kind of bonded around that moment and kind of started building the legacy of Queen.
I totally agree on that. So while they weren't movies, we discussed that HBO and that sort of thing was okay.
No, I agree.
It's kind of blurry, so I kind of lumped them together.
You mentioned Farm Aid, and you being there. Is there one performance or one moment that sticks out for you?
I remember that Eddie Van Halen arrived in the back of a station wagon. I remember June Carter Cash. This was at our football stadium, and there was kind of a hill where vehicles could drive kind of in the backstage area, and she was running late. She was running downhill with her dress and holding it up so she could run. She was running down the hill from her bus to the backstage area so she could perform with Johnny and Waylon and all those guys. There were so many great moments. I mean, it was unbelievable, the variety of talent from John Denver.
I remember that Farm Aid like it was yesterday. It's funny, real quick side story.
Yeah.
When you talk about, stars showing up, I'll never forget. I worked at QFM 96 for a while here, and we did this annual event called the Wing Zing. I remember you had Quiet Riot as the headliners one year, and Quiet Riot pulls up in this little white minivan. And it was just like the most un-rock and roll vehicle you could see. But then, they just kind of stumble out, and you're just like, it's Quiet Riot coming out of a minivan. It was just one of those little behind the scenes moments we get to witness are sometimes very different from what you get to see on stage.
Yes, for sure. Very cool.
So getting to see behind the scenes with the artists a little bit, I'm going to give you my next one, which I'm going to go U2 and Rattle and Hum.
Oh, so good.
Blurs the line a little bit because it started off as a documentary, but as they were filming it, they realized they didn't want to be interviewed. They didn't want to talk about the music. It was their kind of discovery of America and the Joshua Tree tour, and it was this kind of hybrid concert film. But for me, it was when I became a big U2 fan. Obviously, the Joshua Tree album and the early stuff was great, but I had never had a chance to see the band live. And getting to see Rattle and Hum in the theater, all of a sudden I was like, okay, I get it now. I get U2, and it's just an amazing concert film.
I agree, a good one. I went with another legendary act. This is a 1974 live concert movie of the Rolling Stones called "Ladies and Gentlemen, the Rolling Stones."
Ah, yeah.
They performed their greatest hits, and you see Mick being Mick and Keith being Keith, and the band just being as smooth as ever and just pure rock and roll. And I think they were, I don't know when you could say they were in their prime, but this was a part of that period. I mean, I think they're still in their prime now, but they were so good, and that is such a great movie.
It's, I 100% agree with you. And it was when I was looking at the Stones, I was trying to figure out which one best encapsulated them in it. Because, there's the Shine a Light, the documentary or concert film that Scorsese did, which is just beautifully shot.
It's good too.
And then there's GimMe Shelter, which again, it's kind of the counterpoint to Woodstock, where it just captures that moment. And it takes a dark turn, but it's a great concert film. Yeah.
And so I don't remember if any of those have some documentary aspects to them, but I just love that movie. Also,
great choice.
An old one from 1964, and loving music history as I do, there was a movie called The Tammy Show.
Yeah.
And James Brown, Smokey Robinson and the Miracles, the Rolling Stones, Dinah Ross and the Supremes, and all these people. And this was a concert movie released in 1964, so it wasn't a TV special. And it really pushed James Brown into the forefront. He was famous, he had big hits and everything, but this really pushed him a few steps further. And this is a great movie. So if anybody really loves music history, especially from the early to mid 60s, that era, it covers it very well. It's really great, and I love that movie.
That's absolutely fantastic. I just discovered that a couple years ago, and just beautiful performances in that one. In that same era, I'm going to touch on one that just was released recently, and it was subject to a lot of controversy, was Aretha Franklin's Amazing Grace.
Okay. You know what? I haven't seen that, but I really want to.
So I debated again because is it a concert film? It really is the recording of her album, but the album is recorded live in a church. So
Right.
the whole movie is live performances. Um, and Aretha didn't want it released because you kind of see her. She's in her zone, right?
Yeah.
Because she's very particular about what she likes, and she is kind of almost quiet and reserved. And you see at one point her dad gets up and the preacher from the church gets up and kind of takes things over a little bit, and she's almost in the background except when she's singing. But it's just because that she was just letting all that happen around her. And you see like Mick Jagger shows up for the second night of recording just to hang out in the back of the church, and it is just absolutely uh, captures that moment. And amazing,
Wow.
amazing live performances. Movie Amazing Grace. It is out. I think it's on Amazon Prime if you're a Prime member, but it's just absolutely worth checking out.
Mick Jagger's showing up. Now that's showing real respect. RESPECT. No, seriously, that is really cool. That's really paying tribute to an artist that so many.
Yeah, if you can get Mick Jagger to church, you've done something right.
Yeah, for sure. So here's one that I wasn't sure worked either, but it was recorded several months before it aired. And so it was a network TV special on NBC, 1973. It aired on I think over 40 countries. 51% of people watching TV the night it aired was watching this special. And
that's crazy.
this is the concert special that I think really mesmerized me enough. We talked about it before to get me so interested into music. And that is Elvis Aloha from Hawaii. It holds the Guinness Book of World Record for the most viewers of a concert, 1.5 billion people in 40 different countries. I don't know if you call it a movie or not, but it was recorded over 2 nights. Tickets were free. I don't know how people got tickets for free, but over 2 nights, and they turned it into a concert film for TV. And then when everybody left, he recorded 6 more songs to include in the U.S. version of the concert. So it's very interesting, and I think he was the first person that I was totally mesmerized by, that I got chills. That is like, this guy has charisma. It's amazing. And it just snowballed into this.
Yeah, there's no doubt that's great stuff. And he's got so much amazing history from television and movies. I was considering Elvis on Tour, which I think is a great one. And what's the other one? That's the way it was. Yeah, right. Yeah. So,
but that's kind of a documentary. So
yeah, right. I agree. Agreed.
Sure. So some of them it's blurred, but that's one of my favorites of all time.
Absolutely. So I'm going to head in a different direction with the next one for me, which is David Bowie's Ziggy Stardust.
Okay. Wow.
Again, it's that, I was lucky enough to see Bowie live when he played at Betts Memorial here in Columbus.
Just rub it in.
One of his last tours, and it was just beautiful. But the reason I fell in love with Bowie was because, I don't know, for me, it's like you have that friend who had an older brother, and he was cool to that music. And so he had a VHS copy of Ziggy Stardust and the Spiders from Mars. And it was like a concert, it's in that same vein. And I'll just mention it too. The song remains the same, that Led Zeppelin, where it's not necessarily the best performances, and it's a little bit sloppy, and it's not the best lit, but it captures that artist at a certain moment in their career. And it just kind of takes you back to a time that doesn't really exist anymore.
Yeah, totally agree. No, Bowie's one of those I wish I'd seen as well.
Yeah, that was great. Great stuff. All right, what's next on your list?
I've got to throw in the Red Piano. I was
waiting. I've been waiting.
Yeah, it's actually a theatrical movie. It was a live performance of Elton John's Vegas performance, and it was one of those Fathom releases at which special events are played in movie theaters for a very limited run, sometimes only one time. In this case, it was like 4 times over 2 weeks. So it wasn't very many times, so it was very limited. But it gave me an opportunity to see the Vegas show, which I hadn't seen at that point. and it was really good. So
So you did go see it in theaters before you went to Vegas.
I did. So I saw that at Lenox, at AMC at Lenox. So again, where's the dinger plug? And saw it there, and I couldn't wait to go. And so that's definitely one of my favorites.
I have two more on my list here, and I'm gonna go with up next. Stop Making Sense, Talking Heads.
I almost put that on mine.
Yeah, and it's again, it's one of those ones that is universally thought of as one of the best concert movies, but there's a reason why. And it's probably the most of what it's like to be at this concert of concert movies. And even if you're not a big fan of Talking Heads, you only know Burning Down the House, right? It's still definitely, it's a concert movie that you can enjoy. David Byrne's been doing this Broadway show, not recently, but he was. And he's been doing some TV appearances, like he was on Saturday Night Live. And
it was amazing, by the way.
He's a crazy dynamic live performer.
Yeah.
So definitely one worth checking out. And then the last one on my list that I had is one that I mentioned with when we talked about best concert albums, but it's a concert movie I feel I have to mention, which is The Last Waltz.
The last one, well, hey, Arena Dog.
It's one of those movies that just, again, multiple artists, it tries to bring it all together, but it's magical.
You almost can't mention The Last Waltz, or can't
I felt like I had to
not mention it.
Right.
Because it is classic. The band, Dylan,
Neil Young.
Yeah, so many great ones on that. And that may have been one of the first concert movies to really get the ball rolling on that type of thing. I mean, it was hugely popular. So yeah, that is a great one. I've got two more, and one I wasn't sure about, but I did see it again at AMC Lenox. Ding. It was another Fathom event. It was Bruce Springsteen, Western Stars or Western Skies. I don't remember.
Yes, Western Stars.
Western Stars, yeah. It was so good. It was so good, but it wasn't before an audience. He had his full band, but he had this big barn on his property, and he had it lit and a stage, and his wife was singing with him, and the whole band was there, and they performed his latest album, and it was phenomenal.
I am so embarrassed because I'm a big Bruce Springsteen fan. Haven't seen it yet.
Yeah.
I wanted to see it, but I just haven't had the chance yet. And it's one of those, I've just been waiting for the right night to watch it. So excuse now, right?
So I don't think it's a documentary. I mean, in between the songs, Bruce tells a little bit about the story of the songs away from the stage. So you could argue that maybe it's part documentary, but it's truly a live performance of the new album because he did not want to go on tour to support the last album. So he did this instead, and it was one of those Fathom events again, limited release to theaters, and really good. Also,
Western Stars.
Western Stars, okay. Really good. And then at the end, he surprises you by doing a version of Rhinestone Cowboy.
Who would have guessed, right? Yeah.
Who would have guessed, but it's so good. And it really brings out how great the lyrics to that song is. And this is something we can talk about down the road too, about songs that we've heard so much that they lose their effectiveness or emotion because we've heard them so much. But if we really sit down and listen to the words and combined with the melody, it really is a magical song.
I've got a couple for you. I got a couple for you for sure, but I will hold on to them.
Yeah, I mean, that's a conversation for another time, but it was really good. And I want to mention one that I really liked, and I'm not a giant fan, but I respect his talent, and that's Justin Timberlake and the Tennessee Tennessee Kids. They did a live concert movie on that 2020 tour, which we did at Nationwide, I believe. And it is a great live concert movie. The energy, the enthusiasm, the crowd excitement, everything is great about that. So that's another one I like very much.
Yeah, we have to talk around my house. Well, when somebody's at their peak, like we watched Ghostbusters last night, we're like, that's peak Bill Murray, right? He's just peak Bill Murray. but the 2020 tour was peak Justin Timberlake, and it was just an amazing live show, and it was just I actually need to check that movie out because I haven't seen it. But the live tour was great. Any honorable mentions on your list? Anything that you thought about that didn't quite make the list?
I had the Last Waltz too. Had Woodstock too as possibilities. Didn't quite make my list, but I don't know if Garth Brooks has an official concert movie. but if he does, he would be on there because he's just so dang good live. So I think those are my main ones. But
here's something fun too. Obviously, you can watch a lot of these on YouTube and on a phone. But if you can find it with great audio quality and enjoy it on a bigger screen, the bigger the screen and the louder the sound, right? The more that you're going to have that concert feeling. But a lot of these songs, including a lot of the Live Aid stuff, is all on Spotify. So if you are, and Spotify has free programs and also the membership, but you can listen to a lot of the live stuff there, and even without the movie. So if you can't get the movie and you still want to, like me, I get 10 minutes a week to myself where I drive my car to the grocery store. But I have some great tunes during those 10 minutes.
Yeah. I will tell you, Spotify is great for Live Aid, especially because one of the things that frustrated me about Live Aid is they would go to commercial, which they had to do, but they would fade out of songs. And so not all songs were shown in their entirety. And Elton John, just one that I was particularly interested in, did a version of Can I Have a Witness? Can I Get a Witness? And it was faded out, but you can get the full version on Spotify. So
and it's great to finally hear some of that stuff, right? So
yeah.
It's not complete, but there's a lot of stuff there, which is hours and hours of content. So kind of, again, that time machine that will take you back to that concert and that feeling, which is what we're all looking for. This picture behind me, I found in our archives when I was looking at Chance the Rapper was here 3 years ago this week, and this is from a Chance the Rapper show when everybody's holding their phones up, and I
3 years ago.
I know, right?
Holy cow!
Time goes fast, my friend, but
sure does.
Not this time. Hey, before we go, we always like to touch on something about the community, and we mentioned it last week, but it's worth mentioning again. Our friends from the Red Cross are doing a little something with us.
Yeah, March 8th was the last concert we did at Nationwide Arena, and it was the last event that we did, period. So we have finally another event coming, and during this pandemic, there's a real shortage of blood donations. So we are very happy and proud to partner with the Red Cross for a blood drive, which will take place coming up on May 28th from 10 to 4 inside Nationwide Arena. And you can get all the details at nationwidearena.com.
Yeah, for sure. And we're working on a few more after this first one, but definitely the Red Cross can use your help. And again, all those details at nationwidearena.com. Along with the show details, if you have a show coming up, whether it's at the Schottenstein Center or Nationwide, but you aren't sure if it rescheduled or it has been canceled or whatever it is, all those details are there. And it's helpful links for how to get refunds or hold on to your tickets, all that kind of stuff is there too. I know this afternoon we're going to announce, a show that is rescheduling for 21. I can't say who it is yet. Okay. It's fun. Everybody's so hopeful and excited to get live music back on the road. And I know we can't wait to get back to doing it too.
Everybody's so excited. In fact, there was one poll that said 91% of people are anxious to start attending live entertainment events again. So, you know what? I think concerts will be more important than ever.
Amen. Hey, before we go, I'd like to let people know where they can find you throughout the week, if you don't mind.
Check out The Arena Guy on Facebook, just The Arena Guy, on Instagram, Twitter, @_The Arena Guy. And of course, you can catch Dave and I on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts, and check out some of our past podcasts since we can't do any new ones right now. We look forward to doing those in the future, but we've got a couple up on YouTube, and you can go back and hear. I think we've done about 11 of them. So
many more to come.
Yeah, more to come.
All right, Arena Guy sounds great, and we'll look forward to catching up with you next week.
All right, we'll see you then.
Take care. All right, stop recording. Okay.